The city had a silence that no one questioned, a quiet that seemed ordinary in the day but grew heavy at night. Like the darkness itself was breathing, like shadows were moving just beyond the flickering streetlights. And for weeks, something had been wrong, something invisible yet undeniable. Graves were being opened, emptied, the bodies taken, coffins left wide open as if the hand that removed them had been careful, precise, deliberate, reverent even. And then the posters began appearing, stuck across the city on walls, bus stops, alleyways, lampposts, even over notices and advertisements. Each one showing a face, a name, and a single word scrawled beneath it in bold, almost laughing letters. Guilty. And people stared at them, whispered, laughed nervously. Some tried to remove them, some avoided looking. But deep down, everyone recognized the faces, because they belonged to men who had escaped justice, men who had destroyed lives, walked free while others suffered. People who had ended happiness and smiled while doing it. And slowly, the city began to shiver because the realization grew that these were not random targets, that the graves being emptied belonged to those who had inflicted pain, cruelty, injustice, and the fear began to grow, slow, patient, insidious. Because for each face on a poster, a grave was missing its occupant. The earth disturbed but carefully, no struggle, no signs of forced entry, no evidence, just precise removal, almost ritualistic, almost ceremonial, and the whispers began. A figure had been seen, always at a distance, sometimes under broken streetlights, sometimes near cemeteries, sometimes simply standing across the street, motionless, pale face painted in cracks, lips stretched into a frozen smile, eyes dark, empty, void-like, watching, always watching, waiting. And no one knew who he was, not yet, not really. And that is when the story of the clown began, because long before the graves, before the posters, before the painted face appeared, he had been someone else. A gentleman, a quiet man, polite, careful, kind, someone who worked hard, loved deeply. A family man with a wife who believed in him, a child who ran to the door every evening, and a small business that sustained them. Not grand, not flashy, just enough to provide. Ordinary, imperfect, but his own, and he had. Happiness, small and fragile, but real. Until the men who would later appear on those posters arrived in his life. Charming at first. Promises of partnership, of opportunity, of growth. And he believed them. He trusted them. He signed the papers. He smiled at the contracts. He shook their hands, and little by little, everything began to crumble. Small errors magnified, hidden clauses twisted, manipulation buried in legal language. And when he protested, they laughed because all of it was legal, or legal enough to escape punishment. And as the debts piled, the intimidation began, first subtle, then blatant. Letters arriving at night, warnings, threats hidden behind polite words, subtle but persistent. And the pressure was relentless, his business collapsing, the walls closing in, the weight unbearable, until finally the fire came. A blaze, swift and merciless. And when he reached the ashes, the life he had built was gone. Smoke and ruin where his home had stood, his wife, his child reduced to silence, and the men responsible. Untouched by fire, by law, by conscience, still laughing in offices, their hands clean while his life was ash. And that night, the man he had been ended, not broken, ended, leaving behind something colder, something patient, something that would wait. And when he disappeared, no one looked for him. No one cared enough to. And when he returned, he was unrecognizable. A clown painted in the colors his child had loved. The laughter turned to silence. Grief twisted into purpose. And revenge was not rage, but certainty. Methodical, slow, deliberate, because the world had failed him. And if the world would not punish the guilty, he would. And so the graves were opened, carefully, each coffin pried, each body removed, not to desecrate, but to deliver the judgment that life had denied. Each corpse hidden in a secret chamber beneath the city, dimly lit, damp, shadows pooling in the corners. A place that became his sanctuary, his courtroom, his world where he judged them. And when he was finished, each name went up on the walls of the city, pasted, scrawled, undeniable, so the living would see. So the truth would not rot underground like the bodies. And as people read the posters, panic spread. Families of the dead demanded answers, authorities investigated, journalists whispered theories. But deep down, everyone recognized the faces, remembered the wrongs, and the clown became more than a figure. He became a symbol, a warning, intentional, terrifying, patient. And as the weeks passed, sightings increased, always near graves, always near names, always watching, and people began to understand the rules. He would not touch the innocent, not those who never harmed others, but the cruel, the guilty, the greedy, those who had destroyed lives, and one by one they vanished, silently, precisely, and beneath the city, they waited in shadow, in the chamber, bodies taken from their graves, judged, and the posters left behind, visible proof. A reminder that justice may sleep, but never dies, and the clown, standing always at the edge of vision. A cracked smile, empty eyes moved through streets, silent and inevitable. The memory of his lost family fueling him, the laughter of his child, the warmth of his wife guiding him through the darkness. Each step purposeful, each night a rehearsal of the reckoning, and the city felt smaller, quieter, watched as if holding its breath, for vengeance moved slow, deliberate, precise, and as the night stretched, the legend grew. The whispers of the clown who had lost everything, who had loved and been robbed of all, who returned as shadow and judgment, spread across the city. People began to lock doors, keep children inside, close curtains. But no one could hide from inevitability, from the patient, unyielding, watching eyes, and those who had been guilty knew it, felt it even in sleep, because the clown did not move hastily, did not rush, he observed, waited, selected his targets, with cold certainty, and beneath the city, his chamber held them all, stolen from graves, hidden, waiting, while above, the posters reminded the living, every face a story of cruelty, every word a warning, and slowly, systematically, the clown worked, taking the guilty from their graves, hiding them, posting their names, and walking the streets, silent, painted, inevitable, and the city itself seemed to shrink. People walking faster, looking over shoulders, the shadows never empty because vengeance is slow, methodical, unstoppable, and in every corner, in every alley, every street. The presence of the clown was felt, because he had nothing left to lose, nothing to fear, and everything to claim. And in time, even those who felt safe realized the rules. They had no control, and behind every painted smile was a story, a memory, a family destroyed, a life lost, and a warning that cruelty never sleeps, and neither does the one who watches, waits, and delivers what the world refuses to. The clown, a sentinel, a judge, a ghost, a man turned legend by grief, loss, and inevitability. And as nights passed, the city learned, the whispers grew, and in the silence, under the streetlights, the shadows, and the eyes of the unseen, the clown remained, patient, eternal, and the bodies, the posters, the warnings, all remained. Because some debts cannot be erased, some wrongs never forgiven, and some clowns never smile without reason. Because behind every painted face is a story, a loss and justice finally delivered.